And we're back on Raconteurs News. Myself, AD, and Paul Webster are still here. I do apologise if you've been watching us on Facebook. We've had several technical issues tonight. It's been a bit of a nightmare. Andy's trying to sort out his at the moment, but we thought we'd continue along. And talk about, really, I want to talk to Andy next. So one of you two is going to have something to say. Who's it going to be?
Well, did that article not go out live then when I was talking about Russia Today? The Skripal article that's been published today, did that not go out live?
It may not have done. It'd be great if you covered it again.
Just to reiterate then, I've just come across an article of Russia Today stating that Moscow now believes that Skripal and the UK have manufactured this to turn the UK people against the Russians. What do you think about that,
Ed? Yeah, I mean, that's just an extension of what I was saying with false flag.
Exactly.
You know my view on countries. At the end of the day,
and it's happening again.
And get the slaves to do different things.
Try and say that again, Adi, so we can hear you.
Yeah, I said I'll just turn my video camera off. Say, you know my view on countries. They're just farmyards.
Yeah.
And trying to get one. All this is one slave master trying to get another slave master into trouble with his slaves.
I agree.
And that literally is what it is. But you can't say it's literally what it is, because one, we don't know all what's going on. But there's one thing for sure: the shit that's falling out the television and the news is what they want us to think is going on.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And if anybody doesn't believe that the BBC especially are just a mouthpiece for the government, ask yourself this: how many times have you heard them say on BBC News, the Prime Minister will today announce?
Yeah.
Now, either they're fucking psychic, and clearly they're not, because they couldn't even catch Jimmy Savile, fucking year. Or somebody is feeding them from the government.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you will look for Jimmy
believe that what the BBC tell us isn't what the government want us to believe, then just think of that and, think about who benefits. Because at the bottom of everything is somebody benefiting from something somewhere. And there's one thing for sure: it fucking ain't me, and it ain't you.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But do you not find, Eddie, that it doesn't even look like these fuckers are even trying anymore?
No, that's just...
It's like they're resigned to the fact that everybody can see that the fucking emperor is bollock naked, but they're just still carrying on. And it's just unbelievable.
It's either ignorance or arrogance, one or the other.
Maybe a bit of both.
Yeah, because I just think that now, because they've got it to the stage where, people are scared of the government, which is completely the wrong way around.
Yeah.
That, because of the amount of jackboots they've got on the ground, and let's face it, every law is nothing other than threat of violence.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's what will happen to you if you break a law and then stand there in defiance.
Yeah.
So now they've got it to the point where everybody's scared of the government and not the other way around. It's like they're almost stood there with a finger in the air saying, we know that you don't believe us, but we don't give a shit because we're just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we don't care anymore, that's it.
And for me, the only way to do this is just ignore the fuckers out of existence.
I keep having the same conversations with people, particularly when you're talking about bills and not being able to pay them. Some people get it, but so many people don't. And that's it's for me. It's part of what you said, Adi, is beginning to ignore them. You've got to start taking responsibility for yourself. You know, you can't
The
keep
only
waiting
way
for people.
the only way that we can get through to people is by what's affecting them directly
Exactly.
at that moment.
Yeah.
And maybe this Russia thing is a good thing because we can at least say to people, look, you don't really believe all that shit, do you?
Exactly. I mean, people who I know who are still well, for want of a better word, indoctrinated into the system, so-called. Even those people are saying this doesn't sound right about these Russians, this, that, and the other. So people are starting to think. I mean, I meet new people every day who I've never even met before, and we'll just get chatting about something, and something comes up, but the underlying common denominator is they know that there's something not right. They know there's something wrong. It's just, putting the finger on it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's difficult because, I mean, I try where I can just to ask a question.
Yeah.
So people say, oh, what do you think of Russia or whatever? And I'll try and think of something to ask them. Not, who do you think did it? Do you think it's the Russians or blah, blah, blah? So, right, well, what do you think of the whole thing?
Yeah.
And just try and get them to challenge what they actually think inside their own head. Because that's where the answer is. The answer isn't with getting rid of governments, with getting rid of, no more than it's getting rid of Father Christmas or the Tooth Fairy, because they're all just a superstition. The answer is between the ears of everybody on this planet.
I think the question, the thing for me, Eddie, is the challenging thing is getting people to think rather than just take a soundbite and justify it, use that cognitive dissonance to make it okay within the parameters of the illusions, if you like. Because I know I've lost, so-called really good mates. I've lost really good friends because my opinions changed on stuff, but these people don't think. And when you challenge that paradigm of theirs, I mean, you just shatter illusions because they're based, including myself, I based all my life on a platform of what is showing out to be virtually all lies. And
I know what it's like to be a statist because I used to be one.
Yeah.
I used to believe in the state, and once you actually look at it, it's impossible to believe in it.
I know that you said something dead interesting to me last week when you were talking about working in the monetary system. How you didn't, not only did you never even question where the money had come from, you was making money within it, and then all of a sudden it's a kick in the balls and the teeth at the same time because you think, how the fuck have I missed this? It's mad.
If you think about it, television and radio must have been the two things that came along, and the 13 families or 11 families or however many families you believe it is, they must have thought, fucking hallelujah.
Yeah.
This is now a way that we've got of getting to everybody all at once.
Yeah, we've got them, and it's been turned on slightly. You was going to say something, Jason?
Yeah, I was just going to say we seem to be fighting a losing battle, and I'll tell you for why. More and more technology that we get, and kids these days seem to embrace technology better than they'll embrace anything that's fucking real. Anything that does something for them that they then don't have to fucking do.
Yeah.
Then they'll embrace that. So aren't we fighting a losing battle because there's going to be more and more things? Look, like reading a map. Kids these days, you get them to give them an A to Z instead of a fucking sat nav. Not got a fucking chance. Not a fucking chance. So,
not a pro.
I remember not so long ago.
We need to stay one step ahead of the technology, but it seems like the technology is always 3 steps ahead of us. And so the only way to solve this problem is to get through to these people and say, for fuck's sake, listen, learn how to read a map, because one day you might need it. You might not, but, you know, you've learnt it and it's there. But they're not doing that. Everything's done for them.
No, my dad had me wiring up plug sockets and reading maps before I was 7.
Yeah.
You don't get that anymore. Not at all. It's far too easy for kids, and everything, all this technology is being promoted as such. I mean, there was I tagged you and Andy, actually, Jason, in an article about those trees up at Sheffield. It's making a lot of big news up there now, that, isn't it?
It is, but you know what? I got in touch with the people from the I think it's called STAG, Sheffield Tree Action Group. I think that's what it was. I think that's what it's an acronym for. So I got in touch with them, and I put on their website. I put, look, I do this independent radio show, and we cover issues like this, and we've already been talking about the trees in Sheffield, and also we're aware of the issue with 5G. And all I got really were, there's no 5G issue, and nobody really wanted to talk to me, so I just thought, well, knackers to you then, because, you know, I'm there, I'm offering you some sort of platform, and instead of saying, you know, no, sorry, I don't want to, or we don't want, I said, look, anybody who wants to, just send me a message. We'll have you on. We'll talk about what's been going on and the 5G issue. Now, they were quite anti the 5G issue. They were sort of like seeing that as being a bit of a conspiracy theory. And again, there are people that are saying it's a class thing. The divide and conquer that's been going on the local radio has been fucking immense, because you get people ringing up and saying, "Oh, it's just a class thing. It's just these NIMBYs. They want the trees outside their house and all this sort of fucking shit," which is a load of bollocks. But it's a way of dividing people up. So I was just a little bit disappointed when I went on to the Stag Facebook page, Sheffield Tree Action Group. That's what it is. It's Stag, and go and have a look. There's quite a few good posts up there, but I was just a little bit disappointed at the reaction that I got when I would simply try to help.
Yeah. If you're not going to talk about stuff like 5G when they're quite clearly linked with the felling of trees, that's been quite well documented now. As you said, Jason, you're only looking at one piece of the puzzle. That's never going to do anything. You can't look at one piece of the puzzle. Everything has got to start coming together at some point. But again, there you go. You've just given them a platform to come and talk about it. And they could have even said, well, I think you're a nutter talking about that. Well, why do you think that? Because here's our evidence. Here's the literature that we've looked at. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
You know, but it's all promoted as good stuff. But it's people again, Jason. It's the general public. They get something they get a bee in the bonnet about something, and they make all these inroads to change this and to change that, and then they think, oh, look, I've done my bit now. Everybody does it. I've done my bit. You've done your bit. Everybody's doing a bit. But unless you look at, I don't mean looking at other people's bits. I've seen enough of your bits, Jason. But looking at other people's stuff and then saying, hey, how does this fit with my bit? And this. Oh, yes, look at the picture that I'm building up now. I mean, I'm just reading an article now, Jason, about barristers are going to go on strike in protest at the collapsing criminal justice system. Why is it collapsing? Because it's a fucking fraud. That's why it's collapsing, and people are going challenging it. They're fucked. They can't stop this. Whatever it is that's coming, they can't stop it. We've got to just try and keep our eyes open, keep our ears open, and then, you know, when we actually come in for a fucking landing, see how close to the runway we are. That's what this is about now.
Well, you see, what we're talking about is I believe that there are plenty of people that know the information that people are giving out. Right? They know that something's not right. But what they do, and this is human nature, and it's unfortunate, is that they inevitably reframe that information into into something that then allows them to sleep at night and not actually think about that. You know what I mean? So what they do is they know there's something wrong. Fucking politicians are all fucking. But what they do is they reframe it and they put it into this. They add this. Well, what can I do about it? Well, it's always been like that. These fucking silly excuses that we give ourselves, so that then at night we can sleep and we can get to bed and we can sleep all nicely because we know that the status quo has been fucking picked upon. It's when people start looking at things and then saying, well, just this isn't fucking right and it needs to stop. And what can I do to stop it? That's that, and whatever it is you do, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you stop paying your TV license, whatever, anything. There's been stories about this week about BBC having to take on advertising. I don't know how true they are, because so many people are cancelling the license, but you see, because most of these things are not reported in the mainstream news, people aren't aware of them, and they don't have the sense of what they've done as having an effect, because it's not on the mainstream news. And so what people have to do is they have to move away from the mainstream news and just do what's right anyway. What's wrong with doing what's fucking right? Whether you think you're having an effect or not, doing what's right is the fucking right thing. That's why it's called the right fucking thing. It's not fucking rocket surgery, is it? Or heart fucking science.
But you're right. If you do one thing that's right, as I've said so many times, I don't advocate anybody just going, right, that's it, I'm not paying any bills. It's too difficult for the mass majority of people to just unplug like that. I do know people who've done it, but I also know those people have struggled. I also know those people have been harassed horrendously. But there's choosing and picking fights. And if you're not going to pick a fight just yet, learn. Do some fucking research. Stop wanting somebody else to save everything for you, because it's not going to happen. If you don't do this for yourself and for your own family, and show your family, whether you get ridiculed or not, it's about knowing in your heart that you've done something that you believe is right. At the end of the day, the truth is coming out left, right, and centre. It's saturated everywhere. It's all through mainstream. Never mind I can't even call it the alternative media anymore, because the alternative media is basically mainstream media now for me. The alternative media is the likes of the BBC and fucking Sky and all ITN, all this bullshit that they're feeding rhetoric, and they're trying to hold on desperately to the last 20 years, because they've sped things up so quick in the last 20 to 30 years that it's now gone out of control for them. And, funnily enough, people have taken it and turned the mirror on the perpetrators, basically.
Well, Ada, are you still there, mate?
Yeah, I'm still here. Every time we do a show, every time we have a guest on, at some point we end up exactly where we are now in the conversation.
I think that's Webby, that is.
It's what?
That's Webby's fault.
What is?
No, it isn't. And the reason it isn't is dead easy. And that's because the small things, or the everyday things, like the trees, like Russia, aren't the problem. the problem is the big picture. And the big picture is, and the big picture that affects everything, and I mean everything, is that there's a handful of families who own and control everything.
Yeah.
And that's why it doesn't matter what subject you get onto, we will always end up at the same point eventually, which is exactly where we are in this conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah. It can't go any other way, can it, Eddie?
You know, but trying to explain to somebody else, you get the usual, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, is it a theory or is it a fact? Have you looked at it? But even the words conspiracy theorist, all they are is what I call a thought stopper. You know, that comment itself is designed to stop any conversation or any further thoughts. It's just designed to kill it. That's what it's designed to do. And even that phrase hasn't come from anybody's brain. That's come from somewhere like the BBC, the mainstream. It's a label that it's a two-word label given to anybody who they want to discredit with a two-word phrase.
Yeah, again, it's prisoned by language, isn't it? I mean, there are certain things you're not allowed to say. I mean, I remember, and you know what? I feel a bit fucking stupid, but I remember being a bit shocked when an older guy that I don't know, I'm in some sort of situation, and he was there, and he referred to somebody as coloured, and I was shocked at the response I got to that, and that was. And I thought to myself, well, you know, this is what this guy's been brought up with saying. You know, this is
but why is coloured wrong?
But that's what I mean. It's not come from him. It's not come from any hatred or anything. It's just that the way that he's been conditioned, that he's been socialised since when he's been brought up. But you move on, and then you can see. I thought to myself, oh, I was a bit shocked about that, and. I was a bit shocked about it, and I thought to myself, why am I fucking shocked about it? But now, if you think about it, some of the things that I was comfortable with saying, or I am comfortable with saying, younger kids now, they will be fucking absolutely outraged. You know, even if I refer to somebody by their own fucking gender, which is obvious that they've got, you know, they will try to be offended by what I'm saying because I'm assuming their gender. Well, of course I'm fucking assuming your gender. You've got a skirt on, you've got fucking like you know a fucking crop top on, and you've got pigtails in. You're a fucking girl. I think you are. I'm assuming your gender. You know, and why is that so fucking wrong? Because you know what, if right, I assume your fucking gender, and I get it fucking wrong, then you're one hell of an ugly fucking geezer.
So that's what it is. Listen, I think it comes down, the fundamentals is there are only, no matter which way you want to fucking cut all this gender bollocks up, there's only two sexes. There's a male and there's a female. Everything else is being mixed up and mashed up in between, and I just don't understand it. You've got a penis, you're a man, you're a male. You've got a vagina, you're a female. Now let's start there. Why do you want to be a bloke? Well, I feel like I am. I feel like I was born a bloke. Well, let's explore that first, and at least give them some fucking time. Don't be taking 5-year-olds to transgender clinics and giving them and fucking their heads up.
5-year-olds shouldn't even understand what transgender even fucking means. They shouldn't even know that it even exists as a word, 5-year-olds. They shouldn't. If a child goes to a parent and says, I want to be a girl, then all you got to do is fucking slap him on the arse and say, man up. Right? If he keeps coming back after a couple of them, he wants to be a girl. Put him in a fucking dress.
Well, I mean, as you know, I've got a daughter who's a lesbian. And me and her joke about it all the time, like it's just something we can have a laugh about, just the same as, I'm a chunky kind of guy, and we'll have a laugh that, I've got a few extra pounds.
Yeah, well, that's called banter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But now, with anything at all, oh, you can't say that. I mean, what's the difference with a load of guys playing football on a field on a Sunday, just having a kick around, nothing official, and somebody shouting, "Come on, Ginge, pass the ball." Come on, Ginge, pass the ball. Whereas if they shout, "Come on, Fatty, pass the ball," that's kind of getting close to the edge, but "Come on, you Packy, pass the ball." All of a sudden, we just enter a completely different. But if anybody called me a Brit, which is, the first four letters of, I guess, what I am, British.
Yeah.
then
or an Aussie.
Then that's, it's not an issue, is it? Not to me.
See, I used to work with a psychology teacher called Khalid, and he was telling me about. He said, "Well, do you know what, Webb?" He said the term Paki. He says that is actually a race of people. The reason why people find that offensive is because the tribe that is known as Pakis don't get on with a certain other tribe. So if you assume that everybody else is that, and you're calling somebody from a different background that, then they could be offended. So he said it's not the actual term that is offensive, but you see the wider general public don't understand that. They just see it as a Pakistani, and it's not actually. It was really interesting how he explained it, the politics that are behind it all, because I've been drawn towards the psychology of all this, and they are playing with they are breaking people's psyches here, from far left to far right and everything in the middle. You started off with slight control of language. Well, that comes from an ideology, and that far left ideology turns into what happened in Russia and what happened in China. We know where this goes. So even though it's based on the compassion type thing, because everybody gets triggered by compassion. Oh, look, they're upset. They don't want to be referred to as he or she. They want to be referred to as this. Oh, okay. Well, all right. We'll be nice. Yes, you're a Z. Fine. But to put that into law, to make sure that I have to use that is dangerous, because that sounds like it's a nothing thing to just put that into law. Well, guess what? That legislation will be written in a certain way that other things can and will be introduced. How many times have we read legislation where you say, well, what about this bit here? Oh, we're not going to use that, though. Well, why is it in the legislation if you're not going to use it? That's because it's there to be fucking used.
It's always the thin end of the wedge. No matter what it is, always the thin end of a wedge.
Well, listen, guys, we've got Andy Young back. Andy's back on the call. How you doing, mate? Did you have a bit of a blowout there with the old gremlins? Have you not been feeding them enough?
Yeah, I have no idea what happened. Everything just froze up, and it was just going like that, and everybody froze on Skype. I tried to reboot, and suddenly my computer wouldn't boot up. So I've been about half an hour trying to boot my computer up.
Oh, bummer. Well, anyway, never mind. You're back now. We've been having a bit of a conversation about, all sorts of things. There were a point I wanted to bring up that from what you were making earlier on, Webby, but you went on for so long that I fucking forgot what it was by the time.
No, you went on for that long that you went into a fucking coma.
What can I say, boys? I have a lot to say.
You're listening to Raconteurs News. This is Raconteurs News preview and it's the second time we've tried to get this out tonight. There's part 1 and part 2. But it's all on Facebook Live. So if you want to go on Facebook Live and watch the video a little bit later on, that you'll be able to see the whole thing and all the disasters that we were having, and Andy's diseases on his computers that have caused us so much stress tonight. Listen, Andy, I wanted to before you your computer dies of whatever virus that it's got at the moment. Why don't you tell us about what we got on tomorrow night on Raconteurs News?
Yeah, sure, mate. We've got an old mate of mine. She's been on the show for probably 4, 5, 6 times. I don't know, over the years. It's Kaz. Regular listeners and long-time listeners will be familiar with Kaz. She's a survivor of long-term abuse in the care system. And she's got a few updates she wants to give regarding the ICSA, the Independent Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse. And she's going to be coming on for the first hour tomorrow night, and she'll be giving out whatever information she's got to give out. So it will be, there'll be a few surprises in there, I think, as well.
Sweet. Well, listen, for anybody that's listening, I'm going to be sort of taking a background view, a background role in. I'll still be around. I'll still be doing the social media stuff and the Facebook Live and everything like that. It's just I'm just taking a little bit of a background situation on this one. And so you got the first hour, you're going to have Kaz, and then in the second hour you're going to have yourself, Webby, and AD, as I understand.
If they're up for that, yeah.
I'll be back by then, at the very least.
I tell you what, I did think we might be worth raising and perhaps having a little chat about. I noticed some point this week you shared an article, Paul, by Linda Moulton Howe. Something's wrong in Southern Oregon, which I actually watched a live broadcast which concerned that this week, and I think it's something very interesting, something maybe to be having a look out, see what really is happening out there.
An article that I posted, Andy?
Yeah, from Linda Moulton Howe at earthfiles.com.
What was that about? Just remind me, I post that much.
It was about peculiar changes in the habits of the wildlife in Southern Oregon.
Yes. She's been watching it quite avidly, hasn't she? And she's noticed that there's birds not returning that should have returned like a month or so ago. So It's almost like it seems to coincide, Andy, with. I've read a few years ago that due to all this geoengineering that was a conspiracy theory for so long, that due to what they've been doing, they've moved. I know the jet stream can move anyway, but they've actually moved it so much that it's damaged. And you can tell by looking at the weather. I mean, I've just brought an article up here now. They're talking in mid-April that we're going to get a massive heat wave. It's going to snow tomorrow, allegedly. What the fuck? I can't fucking keep up with things.
No, it was supposed to be snowing now, but all of a sudden they called that off and it was just going to rain all weekend. Well, it's been pretty much chucking it down here most of the weekend. But yeah, like you say, who knows what the hell? You could wake up tomorrow and the sun will be cracking the flags, or it might be a foot of snow, but who knows?
Exactly.
See, it's only just recently that I've realised how much I miss Wincy Willis.
Wincy Willis.
No mind saying who. You're old enough to remember Wincy Willis.
It was on breakfast telly.
Listen, Aid's got a little bit mixed up, right? He's actually talking about Quincy's Willie.
I don't know who Quincy is. Did he used to have a ride on the Wiggies bus?
Oh, listen. What Tuesday's show? What's going on Tuesday's show? Again, another one. I'm going to sit out a bit in the background. I'm going to do the Facebook Live stuff and everything. I'll still be around. So, but what's going on Tuesday? Any ideas, fellas?
Well, I've just since I've got home, I've got a text message off Ben Gilroy for me to give me my phone number to him, which I have done. So if I can get him on Tuesday, it might be a bit short notice for them, but if I can, we'll try and arrange that. As for Danny Bostock, I'm still waiting. He's going to give me some dates when he thinks he'll be available.
Yeah, well, we're not going to see Dan Bostock.
You never
do know that,
know.
don't you? We're never going to see Dan Bostock ever.
I love your positive attitude, Jason.
Shall I tell you what I'll do? Right, if we get Dan Bostock on, I will sit on Facebook Live with my underpants on my head and nothing else on while we do the interview.
Right. Just hang on a second. I'm going to text Dan Bostock to not fucking bother.
Unbelievable.
I noticed it wasn't buy us all a pint, was it, Jason? No, you do something that you're very comfortable with, which is sit bollock naked with your underpants on your head.
Well,
Why
he's
not
from
do something
Yorkshire. What do you
different?
expect, man?
I know, why not do something different for a change? I'm sure you do that most nights.
All right, then. Well, I'll sit with all my clothes on then.
Well, that would make a change.
If you want something different, I'll sit with all my clothes on. And not do out.
Failing that, I could possibly see if Lindsay will come on. Lindsay's said to me that if she's available, she's more than happy to come on anytime.
Well, listen, I'm taking this week Monday and Tuesday off. We're just not off. I'm just going to be in background. I'm just going to be doing the Facebook Live stuff. So there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not ill or anything like that. I just fancied just taking some time off. So I'm just going to do that. I'll be back next week. What sort of guests we got lined up, you fellas? Have we got any decent guests lined up that's going to be joining us in the near future on Raconteurs News?
I have got Anthony Carlin lined up as well. I just need to make a date with him as well. He texted me back last night, giving me the thumbs up, said that he's happy to come back on because I think it was it you, Andy, or Adi, that said that it was a couple of years since he's been on the show, and things have moved on quite a bit for Anthony since then.
Yeah, it was a good 18 months, maybe even 2 years since Anthony's been on. He was quite early in Raconteurs News, so yeah, it'd be great to hear how he's doing. Yeah,
he's. I can, like I said, I've not arranged anything because I knew that you had a guest set up for Monday, and obviously we've been trying for a couple of guests for Tuesday. I still might be able to get Ben on, but it might be short notice. But I think I'll definitely be able to sort out some guests within the next week or so. What about Neil Sanders, Jason? What's the crack with him?
Well, listen. All I need to do is pull the trigger on that one. I'm just waiting. I can get him in at any time.
Right.
That's not a problem. He's told me he'll come on at any time. So all I'm doing is I'm just sort of
I tell you, somebody who I was thinking we should get back on very, very soon if we possibly can. And this might be one for Aid. Well, I think it is one for Aid because he's got quite a good rapport with this person. Luis Castro's been in the news this week. Have you seen? Oh,
no,
yes.
No.
Yes. Apparently, there was a couple of them went to a service area and found one of the trucks that was delivering to a fracking site the next day, and she spent 24 hours on top of a truck cab. Bless her.
I saw that. I did see that.
And of course, it's April as well, which means that it's our annual time to have Diane Jessie Miller on as well. See what she's up to at the moment, and perhaps get. Well, I've got a bit of a radio crush on Diane, so I think.
Can I ask a question? Are we now having a pre-production meeting on air?
I think we are. I think we are. Well, it's important for people to know. Our listeners. We love our listeners. Every single one of them. We absolutely love them and we adore them. So I think if we can be as open and honest, and if anybody's got any objections to this sort of thing that we're saying, anybody says, "Oh, don't get them on," we can have a look at them and then obviously fuck them off because we'll just do his own thing anyway. But at least we can have a look at them. I think a pre-production meeting, some openness on the independent media platform. I think that's the way to go forward. I mean, we're not saying anything that we really won't want anybody to know. All I'm doing is I'm just thinking out loud, and I because it's April, it's Diane Jessie Miller. We're going to have her on. I think we have to have John Rappaport on again. We had him in April last year. And Mark Devlin as well. Mark Devlin told me to get in touch with him in April. So I've got that's 3. So we've only got a few others to fill, and I know I can get
fully booked till tomorrow.
Well, Jason, we got a request in the chat room from Crappy Leeds. He says, "Can we have a dating section?" So I suppose that's a show we could just sit talking the 4 of us and say, anybody wants to marry Super Leeds, just ring in. This is a Skype, yeah?
Yeah, we should do that. We should, in fact, we should do I'll tell you what we should do. We should do a Leeds-a-thon, right? Where we just sit and we try and raise money for Leeds' wedding, and then at some point we might get somebody that will marry him. And so what we'll then do is we'll have I think we can make this into a thing.
I'll tell you what we need is Tommy.
Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy, because he was deaf, dumb and fucking blind. He'd marry Leeds.
The old ones are the best.
If you are one of our regular listeners and you'd like some abuse, then just pop a request in the chat room and we'll abuse you too.
Yeah, I don't think we're discriminatory over who we abuse, are we? We'll abuse anybody.
Well, no, I'll abuse anybody.
Well, we abuse ourselves enough.
Yeah. Some of it on camera.
Well,
that's only Jason.
That's only... Listen, you know when you say we abuse ourselves, but only somebody on camera... then that's because you've got a post-it note over your laptop camera. Oh dear me. Anyway, we've done. How long have we done? It's 8:10. Anybody want to go to bed?
No, but I have got a bottle of bourbon with my name on it, and it's not a school night, so.
Well, then get it opened. Andy,
It's
are you
still
still here, Andy?
Am I what, sorry?
Are you still there? Are you still up for it?
Yeah, I'm fine.
What about you, Webby?
I'm okay, mate. Yeah, I'm okay for as yet, Jason.
Right, well, we'll continue for a bit then. So what we're going to talk about next? That's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about cheating in Australian cricket.
You just want to talk about rubbing your balls.
I mean, seriously, to see these fucking grown men crying on live television because they've scuffed a ball.
But for what they've done, not like somebody else did it. They fucking did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crying on telly because they got caught.
That's it.
And
that's the only reason, but we're meant to feel sorry for them.
And they're Australian as well, so we should have fucking expected it, shouldn't we? Because
we need to get Rob Alford on and find out what his take on it is.
Well, he'll probably say it were fucking Palestinians' own fault.
Yeah, well, that's it. Instead of being anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic, racist, anything like that, we could be anti-ballist. And the one thing I would say is all that is just so that nobody looks at what's actually important in this world.
Exactly.
You know, Listen,
Hey,
if you
Ada,
follow
you're
cricket,
just
that's fine.
fucking moaning about how we went round to this point where we were doing, and you just done it again. So now we've gone round world twice.
Listen,
This point,
I don't take 80 days, mate. I'm just fucking in there.
let's talk about your holiday. You're going on holiday this week, aren't you?
Yeah, Saturday,
Excellent. Where are you going?
Thailand.
Oh,
Is that you?
love you
Do you,
long
know, do you know how long
Thailand.
I'm going for?
Forever.
Long time.
Fucking
How
super.
much is that these days?
What,
Long
that
time.
doggy in the window?
Long time. How much is that these days?
What, long time? Don't know. No idea.
Sucky
No,
fucking
no
$5.
idea what you're talking about. What, sorry?
Sucky fucking $5.
Oh, that's gone up a bit. It was only $2.
Oh, brilliant.
Anyway, any of Jason? I think you might be still TV orientated at some point. Do you watch Ant and Dec by any chance?
No,
No,
I've not
I
seen
just
all of
wondered
it,
how-
mate. Listen,
I
I
just
haven't seen
wondered how-
fuck all of it.
I'm just wondering how Ant and Dec's takeaway went without Dec last night. Because I believed he was going to do obviously he was doing it on his own, but he was going to do I don't know, whatever you call it. He was going to dedicate it to Dec or
No,
whatever.
fuck it.
I just
Listen,
wondered what
fuck
had
them.
gone
They're
on.
fucking idiots, aren't they? What the fuck? Why the fuck do we even give a fuck? Fucking idiots that get fucking paid tons and tons of fucking money to do what? To act like cunts on a fucking stage. Then they get fucking pissed and knock some fuckers over or fucking crash into a car and injure children. And we're supposed to be like, oh, he's going through rehab. Let's support him through. No, don't support him through rehab. Tell him he's a cunt. Take all his money off him and go and make him fucking live on Biker, where he's fucking supposed to be fucking from. Fucking idiot.
Why I?
Because that's what happened to me. If I were drunk and I went out and I was drunk and I crashed into something else, my fucking livelihood's gone. Right?
Yeah,
Nobody's
you're not going to rehab. You're going to
"Oh,
jail, aren't you?
Oh, look, take him to rehab, take him to this, take him to that. And do you know what? I don't disagree with him fucking taking advantage of that because of that. That's the situation he finds himself in, and I don't begrudge him taking that advantage. I just don't think it should be presented in the fucking first place. So I'm not blaming him, and I'm not saying that he's a fucking that he's a fucking demon. Right? He's made a mistake. Right? He's going to fucking pay for that mistake. He's got to pay for that mistake in the same way that everybody else does. In other words, I'll come out, if I've done the same thing, I'll come out of that fucking court after I've been fucking sentenced. If I don't go to prison, I'll come out and I'll have got about fucking £3 in my pocket. After I've been fucking fined for everything that I've got. Right, he'll come out. He'll still have 40 million in his fucking. But will he learn anything from it?
I don't. Do you know what? That's probably the most difficult question out of all this because none of us actually know what his issues are. Because I remember reading an interesting article about Heath Ledger, obviously before he died, that everybody always asked him how many cars he's got, what's his favourite car, where's his favourite house, how much does it cost, blah, blah, blah. But nobody ever asked him, was he happy? And I don't know about these two because they portray themselves as these happy-go-lucky Geordie lads that have made it good type thing. But they're as fragile as everybody. I mean, what Dec's going through is what Ant's going through. It's this. Anybody could go through it. I've stood on that precipice and looked down it. But if I'd have done anything what's happened with him, then I certainly would have been getting helped and taken to rehab, and all these people pouring out all the the love for me. It's a strange thing, but again, why is this being presented? Why is it being presented? What we're missing?
Paul, what do you think about the possibility that there was something that happened when he was a child star at the BBC? And we both know. In fact, anybody who's probably listening to this recording knows that that there have been some dodgy things going on at the BBC, particularly with children. Do you think that may have some impact on it? If he's having to deal with something, again, I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything or say that he's been a victim of anything, but this sort of behaviour and this sort of it seems to have taken a long time to manifest itself, but it seems like he's got to a point where the fame and the fortune and the adulation has not been enough, and he's had to indulge in something else to try to, perhaps he's used the fame and the fortune that he's got. He's been able to use that as a barrier against the things that happen to him, but now it's sort of like bubbling to the surface because he's achieved everything essentially, really, hasn't he? So maybe there's something in that involved. And again, I don't want to sound like Richie Allen running like a pussy and saying, "Oh, no, I'm not accusing it," but I am not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying that's a possibility, isn't it? Because
I think it's definitely something that's got to be raised, but just because of the amount of, dare I say, evidence, or should I say circumstantial evidence that points at the years of abuse that has obviously been going on around this fucking broadcasting corporation, around this establishment. There's definite questions, but it's when you ask those questions and you're getting shut down. I mean, for fuck's sake, the fella, outside the BBC headquarters, there's that statue, isn't there? The carvings of a little boy right in the groin area of a fucking grown man. And what's it based on? He's based it. I can't remember the fella's name who did the architecture for it. But it seems like wherever you look, linked with the BBC, you have an underlying rhetoric of paedophilia. You can't get away from it. Go on, Eddie.
Sorry, I was just going to go back a little bit on because we're going to end up in the paedophilia thing. Just before we get there, as a lot of people know, I mean, I've spent quite a lot of time working with bands, and I did some stuff with radio and whatever. And to see how, I won't even say easy, necessary it is to end up using some kind of crutch, whether it be a drug of choice or alcohol or even sex, because that is all part of it. It's not just easy when you're in that. It's almost necessary. I mean, there's one thing that you have written in big letters on a stage when you're stage managing for a band, and that is the town or the city that you're in.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what day of the week it is. You don't know what town, or even sometimes which country you're in. Because you're that sleep deprived, night and day blend into 1 and 2. You don't just work an 8-hour shift. You get where your working day will start at 7 in the morning and go till about 3 or 4. Then you'll have a break till 9 at night. Then you'll work till 2 o'clock in the morning. Then you'll get some sleep on a bus, and it just becomes day and night.
Yeah, one day rolls into the other, doesn't it?
I remember one guy saying to me once that they pulled up on a bus into Las Vegas, and and they said, right, you've got 2 hours, guys. Here's some money. Go and enjoy yourselves. And he had no idea what time it was because of all the bright lights, and it turned out it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So for anybody who's involved in the entertainment industry to end up where they are using something to either sleep, self-medicate, whatever, it's almost a given, because you've got to be an incredibly strong, not just strong-minded, but strong-willed and physically strong person to not have some kind of crutch to help you through. And it's, I've seen loads of people end up just like disappearing down this road, and it's the mates are the ones who will kick them up the arse and bring them back again. Because the reason the mates need to do that is because when it's them that's disappearing off down that road, they need them to pull them back. Because it really, really does get you like that. And it is a thing where now and again you've got to jump off that merry-go-round. Because if you don't, you will go mental. Definitely. So, maybe there's some of that in there for him. And, you've got to, all right, we are all responsible for our own actions and our own words and that. But, there's a lot of things pulling on anybody in the entertainment industry. Some people are in it because they've got something to say. Some people because they want to leave something behind. Others because they want to contribute for the good of everybody else. There's 1,000,001 different reasons why people's talents come forward. And, Ant and Dec have done unbelievably well. From being two kids who were picked in theatre school to be on Byker Grove.
Yeah.
Good lads, good for them. And to say that they've now got into into the 40s, there must be.
Easy. They're easy my age.
Got to be mid-40s. I don't think they're 55.
Yay.
For them to get this far and have not had anything, it is bloody surprising.
Yeah.
Anyway, now down into the thing where, yes, there is paedophilia, because when in any place where you have either vulnerable or easily influenced people, you will always get predators. Influenced.
Is that a word?
No, but you're influenced.
Influenced, though.
Well, when you've got Bell's palsy and you're struggling to say words, it comes out like that.
Oh, well, thanks for pulling that one on me.
It's my excuse for talking shite.
Yeah, come on, Jace. You can't be taking a piss out of him on
I
there.
weren't taking piss. I was asking him. Influenced.
Tell you what, it's a good job you're not dressed like a woman as well. Or he'd got a fucking day on you, wouldn't he? Good job you're not serving him in Frankie Benny's dressed as a woman with Bell's palsy, mate. Fuck. You're all over you.
Yeah, I'd be like, I fucking bumped into this fucking spastic transgender fucking thing today. I don't know what it were. It were pretending to be something, but I don't think it were. But like I was saying earlier on, my foot's gave me some great grief, and I can't hardly walk. So I can't say up because I'm Jesus of Spackereth.
I'd just like to say that I'd like to dedicate tonight's preview show to a member of Jason's family that happily he lost on Friday, and that was the boil on his arse that popped.
Oh my God! Oh, you ought to have seen it, man! It was like a crime scene. I took the thing. I took the poultice off it, and I noticed. I looked in the mirror. I got a good angle. I managed to move my plums out of the way so I could see in the mirror. So I moved my plums to one side, and I could see that there was something coming out of it. So I started squeezing it, and it just went mad everywhere. It was just all over the floor and everything. It was like I'd stabbed somebody or something. And since
can
then,
I just
I've had a big old.
I have got no first-hand experience of this. I have only got Jason's running commentary when I've been ringing him every day to ask him how his arse is. I have no first-hand experience.
The funny thing is, I suspect that it's not the first time Jason's arse has looked like a crime scene.
Yeah, you bet your fucking ass, man. I'm telling you, my arse has had some rate hammer over years.
I bet it fucking has.
From boils and spots and all that sort of thing. I'm not talking about outside influences. I'm not talking about...
I did ask him if he'd got a name for it and whether it was a boy or a girl, but...
Well, if it were a girl, obviously on a fucking period, because the blood that were everywhere.
No. No.
Oh, dear.
I'll tell you what, we do manage to cover some subjects, don't we?
Oh, yeah, we certainly do. And that's the beauty of Raconteurs News. So anyway, listen, we're going to be back tomorrow night. Andy's going to be hosting, and he's going to be having his chat with Kaz in the first hour, and then in the second hour, AD and Webby will be joining him as well. And if Kaz wants to stick around, I'm sure that'll be fine. But it'll be broadcast on Facebook Live and on raconteursnews.com or on Spreaker.com/users/raconteursnews. We always like to have your feedback as well. So if you've got anything that you want to, any guests that you think that perhaps we should get on, then pop it either in the chat room or just send us a message. What's your email, Andy? Because you're the one that I don't see my email very much. What's yours?
Oh yeah, you can email me at info@raconteursnews.
info@raconteursnews, and of course we're on Twitter at
raconteursnews. Sorry, raconteursnews.com, obviously.
Info@raconteursnews.com.
info@raconteursnews.com. That's it. We've got it. We've finally breached it. We were just reading Webby's T-shirt. I think that's where we got it from. I'll just give me a second, AD, and I will bring you in before we finish. A big thank you to everyone who's been in the chat room. There's only been a few people in the chat room tonight. I mean, we don't really advertise our Sunday night shows. So anybody that's been watching on Facebook Live as well. Owen Lloyd Martin has said good night from Portugal. He'll be listening tomorrow night. So
we just had somebody register on the website while we've been talking from Switzerland. So yeah,
brilliant.
We're getting global now. We're global.
We are global. AD, you want to bring some up before we depart into the night.
Yes, just to say that I was intending on actually joining in the conversation while I'm on holiday via Skype, but because of the time difference, that won't be possible. However, my house sitter will be listening. Not on, they won't be on Skype or anything, but the kind couple who are house sitting for me, they are going to be listening to Raconteurs News. So the good thing about me going on holidays, I won't be here, and the other good thing is you'll have 2 new listeners.
Good stuff.
Brilliant.
Every cloud's got a silver lining.
Certainly has.
Got one in there before he fucking got it in about bills of exchange.
Hey, and I didn't even bring it up, you dickhead.
Well, that should certainly bring up the listener presenter percentage. So I think we're at the moment we're at 1 listener per presenter. So Aid is going away on holiday. You're away on holiday, but you're going to be around this week, aren't you, Aid?
Oh yeah.
So tomorrow night, Ed, Andy, for the first hour between 7 and 8, Andy is going to be talking exclusively to Kaz about the child sexual exploitation inquiry that's going on, and getting a bit of an update on that. We had one in a long time. I'll be around doing the Facebook Live. Second hour, Andy will be joined by AD and Webby, and all sorts of madness will ensue. So thank you very much for joining us on our Raconteurs preview. I just hope that you enjoy the rest of your Easter Sunday. Enjoy your Bank Holiday Monday as well. But don't forget to join us. It's from 7 tomorrow night. Until then, We'll see you later. Ta-ra a bit.